Done by Noon podcast, episode number 20. Today we're going to talk about financial efficiency and how to live richer with less.
You're listening to the Done by Noon podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs who want to achieve more by noon than others in a full day. Serial entrepreneur Dave Ruel and his co-host Chris Lopez share the strategies that will help you optimize your productivity, performance, and lifestyle so you can reach new heights in your business and life. So if you're ready to become the most efficient and effective entrepreneur you know, you're in the right place. Welcome to the show.
This episode is brought to you by the Done by Noon book, the ultimate guide to achieve more by noon than other entrepreneurs in a full day. As a listener of the Done by Noon podcast, you can grab a free copy of the book at www.donebynoonpodcast.com/free book. But hurry, we've only printed a few thousand copies of this book, and when they are gone, they're gone. Once again, you can claim your free copy of the Done by Noon book at www.donebynoonpodcast.com/free book. Now, back to Dave and Chris.
What up, brother man?
What's up, man?
Doing good, dude. Doing good. I hear, is the party going on in Costa Rica?
The party is going on in Costa Rica. So my office is right next to a restaurant and it is lunchtime right now. So you might hear a bit of a soundtrack from me. So for that, I apologize, but it's very uplifting and happy music. Is it really loud on your end?
No. I can just hear it a little bit. That's
Okay.
fine, Costa Rica, baby.
Yep.
Music 24/7. How was your week, man?
It's been good. It's been really good. We're here in Costa Rica. AJ is coming. AJ is going to be coming by to visit for Christmas. If we're recording this episode,
Can you tell us a little bit more about the secret business?
this
So AJ is starting a business, but I don't know what it is yet, and you didn't want to tell me.
so she's starting a custom-made lingerie business.
Whoa!
Yeah, like she's sewing, like she's making custom-made lingerie, like made to order.
Got it. Are you going to be modeling for the company?
No, my underwear modeling days are over. So I
mean,
won't.
are you telling me there's not going to be any mankinis?
No mankinis. Although I did ask her to create a Borat special for Christmas, but
I mean, we should have it Done by Noon mankini available.
that's right. Yeah. It's really good, and she's excited about it. She's been sourcing her material from. Actually, she's been sourcing her material from all over the world. So she wants to make it very bespoke,
Premium.
I guess is the way you would say it these days. So I'm really proud of her. She's doing well, especially during COVID. I mean, there are a lot of people that pivot during COVID, and she was working for a startup jewelry company initially, and then they furloughed her position. So she pivoted, bought a sewing machine, and started her own business.
That's amazing, man. And see, like that's the thing. Like I remember Roseanne teaching, your kids to sew.
Yeah.
And now, like she's making a business out of it. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's good. And then, it's good. I mean, I think we have the entrepreneurial spirit here amongst all of our kids. And that just goes to show you, like, it's not something that you can really teach. You have to make sure that they're exposed to it. And then what they're exposed to becomes normal. So that really limits the amount of fear that they have of starting, I think.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Good. Kudos to AJ. That's amazing. I can't wait to hear more. Keep us posted.
I will. Definitely. Yeah. I'll let you know about the progress. But what about you, man? How are things going on your end? I know it's winter there now. So how high is the snow?
No, actually, it was in like well in the pluses for the past couple of days. It was crazy. Yes, and it was raining. Grass starting to grow again. It's insane. And we had a lot of snow, and it was cold as F over like in November. And this month, it's crazy. Like, we're recording this. It's December, but yeah, probably when it's going to air, it's going to be like slammed. However, I'm full of energy, and I ran some. I don't know if I talked about this before, but I ran some blood tests late summer, and it came back that I had low B12.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, damn. I was like, whoa, okay, that's unusual. It's just an old person's thing. I'm 38 years old. It's like shouldn't have low B12, but I felt like and it's been something like my energy levels, my mood, things like that. It was all over the place for the past few years. And I attributed that to aging. I was like, yeah, that's what it is. And even like I started having like tingling feeling in my arm, in my hands and feet.
Really?
Yeah. And it's a symptom of low B12. I was like, what the hell? So anyway, it could be so bottom line, we still don't know exactly what it is yet. I'm doing some tests. It's probably not celiac because I don't have any like cramps or anything like that. But I went to my ND. She shot me with a B12, and I have more B12 to take for a few weeks to boost back my stocks of B12. And yeah, so it's probably like it's some kind of digestion problem. We haven't pinpointed exactly what it is. I consulted with my good friends at Bioptimizers, and I'm on a supplementation program now for that. And it's dude. First of all, the shot of B12 skyrocketed
Energy.
my energy levels crazy, like mental sharpness. I'm way sharper. Like I sleep better.
Oh, wow.
Everything. Oh, dude, no, it's crazy. And I'm gonna have Matt Gallant to talk about all these things as well, optimization on these end, because it was like the thing that I did not really take care of like before because my digestion was fine. I had never had any problems. But now, like I think time has come for me to be more aware of these things. So every year I do I get my MD to get me a full blood test and yeah, so far like that was the first year that something abnormal came back. So yeah, man, I'm just happy that we cut that and man, B12 deficiency is no joke. Damn, like I could not imagine that. Like that was the first time that I was deficient in something. So I never like for me it was actually worried, like tingling feeling, like you are tingling feeling in my hands and like pain in my hands too. Like I was like, is that arthritis? Is that like early symptoms of MS? I'm like, damn. I started like asking so many questions. And yeah, so it looks like it's digestive. So yeah,
Oh,
the
wow.
guys at Biohackers always tell me like it starts with digestion, man. And you're right. I never, for me, I never experienced it. I heard about it so many times, but that was my first time experiencing that. And yeah, and in my opinion, like that's what it was for the past few years, where it affected my sleep, my mood, my energy levels, and yeah. So yeah, man,
That
I'm
that actually makes sense. I mean, with digestion, because if you're not digesting the nutrients from your food, then obviously you'll have some type of deficiency. So, yeah, that's makes complete sense. Wow, I didn't even think
yeah,
of it that way.
stress like of the digestive tract and everything else. So and like lack of connectivity too. That B12 like the symptom of B12. So that's why you have the tingling feeling. And I had like a 5,000 microgram boost on like a few weeks ago, and now like I'm doing 1,000 a week for 8 weeks, and it's intramuscular. But yeah, no more numbness or no more tingling feeling in my hands. My hands also like it doesn't hurt. Like when I started playing hockey this year, my hands were hurting so bad. I was like, what the hell, man? I hope like it's not arthritis or something like that. And yeah, so yeah, I'm taking self care 2021. I'm going to boost that. Like my self care, my self care is definitely going to be a priority, big time.
Good.
My biological optimization.
I like that.
Anyway, let's talk about financial efficiency, my man, because I think you and I see eye to eye on this.
Yeah.
The fact of living richer with less. I gotta say, in my life, I know you've been pretty good with that for a long time. For me, I would say it's pretty much the past 5 6 years I've really been more inclined into financial efficiency after going into like Karen and I realized that we just consumed way too much. and we just have way too much stuff, especially when we got into the new house and realized that how much stuff we can stock in there just doesn't make sense to have all this. So yeah, we did the exercise of being more financially efficient, and yeah, so what we're going to talk about today. So tell us about. So there's one thing that you guys do well, that the Lopez's do well, and it's the 100 Things Challenge. Tell me about that.
So this is something that came about, I want to say in 2010, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as everybody knows, we have 5 kids, and we lived in this small 3-bedroom, semi-detached house in Toronto. And so, when you have a small space, I mean, we were all about location and being in the right spot. So the location was huge for us. And this was before the online business really started to take off and everything. And so we had this space. But when you have 7 people in your family and everybody leaves 1 pair of shoes by the door, that's 14 shoes. And so we realized that in order for us to have this kind of life, we really have to pare down on a lot of stuff because things can get cluttered really quickly. So we came about the 100 Thing Challenge, which I think my friend at the time, Leo Babauta, who runs this really popular blog called Zen Habits, he was the one who turned me on to it. And basically it was limit your possessions, your personal possessions, your own possessions to 100 things. And the deal was that didn't include socks, underwear, or books. So you could have an unlimited amount of socks, underwear, or books, but everything else that you had to be within 100 things. And that's kind of how our journey into minimalism and financial efficiency started. And so you come to realize that you have a lot of stuff and you're carrying a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that you don't need. And here in Costa Rica now, we need even less because we only live in one season. We go home to Toronto in the summer. And so the same wardrobe we have here in Costa Rica we'll take to Toronto. So we really don't need as much as we thought we did. And it's been actually quite freeing because it's been able to free up a lot of our finances. And one of our, in a previous podcast, we talked about our family values and our mission statement. And one of the values that we really espouse is experiences over possessions. And so because we do the 100 Things Challenge, we have a lot more resources left available to dedicate towards experience as opposed to, possessions and stuff like that. So that's kind of the 100 Thing Challenge, and that's what it was, and that was our journey into minimalism. So the way we live now, we're still very much minimalists. Although the thing with us is we've got 5 kids, so are we really minimalists? Like, we've got 5 kids. It's not really.
Biologically, you're not minimalist.
No, we're not. We're a biological maximalist.
So what are the first things that went out the door when you first started doing the 100 Things Challenge? What were the first things you got rid of?
Oh my god, sneakers for me.
Really?
Yeah, I was a bit of a sneakerhead. Well,
why?
I think part of it is well, not a crazy sneakerhead. So my younger brother works for Nike, and he's been with Nike for 15 years. And so he gets stuff all the time. And I basically get his leftovers, or if I ever want like a pair of shoes or something, then, I could email him and say, hey, can you get these for me? And because he's got his employee discount, or, he's always got some type of deal going on. And so I really had to let that go. That was a big thing for me. It was all clothing. I realized that I had a lot of clothes with tags on it. Because I think as well, when you live in Toronto, the whole Toronto scene, Toronto's a lot like New York and LA now, where it's all about the show. And when I was a personal trainer, I was training a lot of the socialites within Toronto, like people, higher profile names within the city, at least in the social scene. So I would get invited to the parties and the galas and the events and all of that. And so I'll fully admit that I got caught up in that scene a little bit as well. And so when I came to that realization, I let go of a lot of clothes and a lot of that. I think a lot of like I had. Well, this is how old I am. Like CDs, I had a lot of CDs that I let go of and stuff like that. Yeah, but those
Your
those
of
are
your,
the main
of your cassette tapes.
right. Like I said, my VHS tapes, but that it was primarily clothes and shoes that I was not using or that were just excessive. So
But don't you feel like you still like? Is it under control now, or you still every year you do that and you surprise yourself on how much shit you still buy?
I'm a lot better now, but I will fully admit that sometimes I get caught into a rabbit hole. Like sometimes, like if I unpurposely distract myself, I can find myself on Amazon saying, "Yeah, maybe I need another pair of wireless earbuds because I need one for the gym and one for when I'm listening to podcasts and one when I'm on a podcast with Dave." And you know what I mean? So it's like sometimes I catch myself doing that, but I'm lucky in that my filter is like I'll catch myself and then I'll be like, okay, no, well, what am I doing here? So yeah,
I was the same with clothing, and I realized that I wear. But this is the thing, we work from home too, right? So sometimes in the winter, I'm going to wear shorts
yeah,
more than I'm going to wear jeans because I'm in the house.
yeah,
But I became like, I don't like to be like the Dean Jackson type of guy where like he just wears the same t-shirts and same shorts. Uh, you know, fresh new ones, but they're all the same ones, every day.
right,
And but I do like I have like these t-shirts, like the 50-50 t-shirts, all black that I wear pretty much all the time. I have maybe I don't know, like 12 of them maybe, and they just last forever. So I just put them. I just have that, and I have like in the fall, I just have these basic. I go to Mark's Work Warehouse, and they always have these awesome sales, and I love these clothes because they fit me.
yeah,
And like the thing, designer clothes like don't fit me. I just have like big butt and big legs and thick chest. It just doesn't
right.
fucking fit. But yeah, I go to Mark's Work and I just buy my clothing there. I found actually Banana Republic great too, and there's an outlet store in Moncton, and I always go there, and I get my jeans for almost nothing. And it's funny because Corinne loves to shop, and she's like, and I'm always like, "Hey, look at what I got for $30! Look at this pair of jeans." I mean, and it's like, don't tell people how much you paid for your jeans. It's like because it's like $20, but it's like, no, I'm proud of it. But Corinne loves to shop. But anyway,
Yeah,
but yeah, I do the same thing. I just now I'm just very. I keep my clothing quite a like yeah. I keep them a long, long time, and I still do. So what we do here is we do quarterly cleanups. So we go through our house every quarter, and we just put in the basement living room. We have like a home theater, and we just put all the stuff that we want to sell or get rid of there. So the valuable things or things that worth something, we just put them on the secondhand marketplace on Facebook here, the local one. Like they go like hotcakes. It's crazy. Everybody buys everything there, and we just we just sell like what we don't use. So bottom line, if I haven't used something in a year, I'm just gonna put it for sale. Or if it's something that I see like charity or there's like not a Salvation Army, but as a local thing like the Salvation Army here. I just give that, make a donation there, and yeah, we just do that quarterly, and we get rid of a lot of things. And we realized like the first times we start, like it's been probably like 5 years maybe we started doing that. The first time there was a lot of stuff, now there's less and less stuff. And yeah, we're very careful with the kids too. Same thing. We try to do things with the kids, with their toys, with everything. Like we try to clean up as often as we can and get them to donate quite a bit when they don't use it. You used to do that with the kids' toys.
yeah. We would do that. Well, we have a lot of relatives, so we would give stuff away. That was our main thing. We were always giving stuff away. But yeah, and then we would donate stuff as well. But for the most part, it was always just giving stuff away, and realized that we didn't need it, so we would bring it, like give it a better home. And that was it. We would donate stuff a lot, but I mean, that's how we really approach minimalism, and how we approached making sure that we just had whatever it was that we needed. And like I said, I mean, from a mental standpoint too, when you let go of a lot of stuff, it opens things up for more.
Oh, the mental clarity you're getting from it is fantastic.
Yep.
I just love getting rid of stuff just because like I feel lighter.
Yeah.
I feel like my head is less full somehow. It's weird, eh?
Yep. Yeah. No, it's great.
I like what you said. Find a better home.
Yeah.
No, it's true. Like especially with kids, like, hey, you're not using that. We're going to find a better home. Someone that can actually use it. I love this. Finding a better home. Really
yeah,
like it.
It gives them that. I think with kids too, it gives them that mentality of generosity and of giving. So I think that's always good to instill in the kids as well. But like from a financial efficiency standpoint, what are some of your other tricks? Like what do you find? What do you guys do?
Oh man! So one thing that we started doing over the past few years is, well, 10 years ago we decided we're going to go with one vehicle.
Yep.
So we just use one vehicle, and it's like we don't need two. We both work from home, and with two kids now, like getting their gymnastics and stuff. Like I gotta say, sometimes it could be tricky, or it requires a little bit of more planning, but it's never usually an issue. So we decided to do one car. Next step that we realized that we were spending a shit ton of money on insurance, gas, car payments on a car that we were barely driving. We're like, why are we doing that? And I'm not a car guy. I don't care about cars much. Like for me, it's all about comfort and is this thing sustainable. And and we realized that we still love like having a nice car. Like I'm not running into having a beater, for example, but having a nice car, nice, safe car. And we made the decision that we are going to do the best, like look into the best bang for the buck, if you want. So we're not the kind of people who are going to buy like a new car, or change car every 2 years or whatever. We're like, what's the type of car that we like, and what's the best model or even year, or if it's new or secondhand that we can get. And for example, we got to use 2 years ago. We got to use Audi Q5. Turned one of this Q5. We had a big truck. Well, you've.
I remember the truck.
Yeah, I had a big Ram truck. I loved my truck, but it was crazy on gas. I didn't need it that much. It was great when I was like building and doing things, but I didn't need it anymore. And when I need a truck, my father-in-law has a truck that I can borrow, and it's like maybe once a year tops. So for me, the justification of having a truck for just the sake of it, I might need it for this. No, I don't. So we got a Q5, used Q5. Gas mileage is fantastic, comfortable car, runs great. I mean, it costs less in how do you say that? In insurance. Okay. So yeah, it's just perfect. So we go with one car, and we reduce our spending on cars like crazy. That being said, I respect someone who loves cars and wants to have a nice sports car, and if they find some joy and happiness in it, like I can't care less for a car. I gotta say.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not a car guy. Like I enjoy driving a nice car. Like whenever we get a rental or whatever, if they ask us for the upgrade and it's a nicer car, sometimes I'll take it because it's nice to drive a really smooth car. But it's not a big thing for me. Like I'm not going to go out of my way to try to find a sports car or have to drive whenever. Like it's point A, point B for me. It's never one of those luxury things for me. I'll spend my money on it. I'd rather spend my money on really good food than a really nice car.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Speaking of food, like what would you do? Like how do you? Because I realized, like, one thing I realized too is that we were actually wasting quite a bit of food.
Yeah.
Like we were like the amount of food that we were throwing away was like crazy, and we're like, why? And we realized that we were just buying too much food just in case, right? We're not being proactive with our meals and everything. So right now, what we do is that like locally we're able to source a farm that raises. So we have fresh like beef, like local grass-fed beef.
Yes.
Every year. So in the in the spring, we pay for the amount of beef that we want. So like half a cow or quarter or whatever, and they deliver in the fall. So they do that, and we can decide our cuts and everything. So we have that. We do that with chicken, with pork, with cow, and it's a local farm here. And we do the same thing with eggs. We got a local farmer who does that. But we're more proactive, and what we do is that everything's packed, and we have a full freezer packed, like ready with meat, right? So whenever we need meat, we just take it out.
Yep.
Like we just don't go to a grocery store and buy meat and things go bad or whatever. So we're very careful with that. And yeah, we're just trying to like kind of stick to basics that way. But yeah, what do you do for food? Like, what's your trick?
We do the same thing. When we were in Toronto, we had a relationship with a farmer, so we would do the same thing. I would split a whole side of beef, so half a cow, with a good friend of mine, and so we would split that, and we would have beef for, I think it was like 2 seasons or maybe almost 3 seasons, and different cuts and stuff like that. So we kind of do the same thing here. We do the same thing with chickens. We actually live down the street from a chicken farmer, and he does free range chicken. So I think we bought 10 chickens from him, and he stores 5 of them. We've got the other 5. Well, we've got 4 now in our freezer. We also do a local CSA, so a crop sharing arrangement with some farmers here. So at the farmers market. So when I go to the farmers market on Saturday, I just pick up my box and I've got stuff, and that saves us on vegetables, and it allows us to be prepared. I think from a financial efficiency standpoint, like before we got on and started recording, we were talking about, being proactive. And it's just like the thing with a car, right? Like if you are proactive with staying on top of your tune-ups and on top of your oil changes, you're going to save a lot more money in car maintenance or car repairs in the long run if you're proactive with that. And I think with the food thing, it's the same thing. If you're proactive and you know how to prepare and you have good foresight, you'll save a lot more money and you won't waste as much food, knowing how much you eat already on a weekly basis, depending on your family and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. And if it was just me, I would prepare. Like I love batch cooking and preparing my food in advance. Corinne hates that.
Yeah.
She's like, she loves her meal like prepared like daily. And it was like, so for me, like we could be even more efficient by preparing in advance, batch cooking, things like that. I used to do that a lot back in my bodybuilding days.
Of course.
And that's why actually metabolic and anabolic cooking were born. I kind of out of my preferred style of dealing with it. Right. But yeah, we could be even more efficient with that. But I think we're doing a pretty decent job, like so far with everything. So I'm pretty happy. Like we really went from like a lot of excess per se to to more control. And the way I see it, like the way I can quantify it, like the KPI is actually how much, because here we got like recycling, just a recycling bin, and like just the wet stuff. And it's the amount of wet stuff, and they do every other week, right? So the garbage truck comes every other week, and for each. So every 2 weeks, I have all the wet stuff, and I'm like, oh, I just got 1 bag, or like 2 half bags in there. It's just, and I'm like, good, because we're spending less and less. And what we start doing as well is we start composting all of our like table stuff, like the vegetables and all the peels and everything. Like we just compost a lot of stuff. So we have a compost bin outside, and that's what we do. So there's little less waste, and we recycle quite a bit. We have like the amount of recycling now is probably like 4 or 5 times higher than the amount of actual waste. Pretty crazy. But yeah, so that's the way we can quantify that. So I think we're doing a pretty good job with that. Another side of financial efficiency, we talked about personal stuff, but business wise, maybe we can share a little bit of the practices that we do on the business side. But for me, and that's something I've been doing for a few years now, is actually tracking the amount of subscriptions that we have to tools and different things, because we had so many things that we were subscribed to, that we were barely using, right? So we decided like just to get rid of them. And we do this exercise. So Cedric goes through the list every month and just like we have a meet. So we have a financial meeting monthly. It's like, what do you want to do with this? What do you want to do with that? I don't think we're using that, or this could be consolidated, or we could move to this service and we would save X amount. And we start doing that, and we're saving so much because of that. And also, what we do is we look for every single time we have the opportunity to take an annual plan versus a month-to-month plan and save. We do that. Like, so let's say we have this a tool that we know we're going to keep using for a long time. We're going to switch to the annual plan. Usually you save probably like 2-3 months worth of membership. And that compounds, man. That compounds like big time. I don't know if you do you look at your tool expenses regularly?
So I hadn't before a couple of years ago. And then one of my coaching friends, one of my coaching mentors said he does it every December. And so it's coming up, like I do it every mid-December. So it's coming up again for me. But I did that a couple of years ago and I realized like I saved, I think it was almost $3,000 for the year based on doing the exact same thing. Number one, canceling subscriptions that I no longer use. So a lot of them were like, WordPress themes, like for my websites or whatever, or even like WordPress services, like page builders and stuff like that. So stuff that I wasn't using, it was, and then it was also like the yearly plan. Like, so for example, I'm on a yearly plan with ConvertKit now that just saved me $700.
I know.
Yeah. And so it's services like that, but definitely that's one of my number one things. Like I'm not a big tools guy, but the subscription services tend to add up and and the plugin services for the websites and stuff like that. So it was great. Yeah. So that's probably the number one thing that I do to save money in my business is to be able to do that. And it literally takes like an hour. You just go through your credit card statements and find out what the recurring charges are and see if you actually need it.
And it adds up, man. I think a lot of people are afraid to look as cheap or frugal, right? Like when they do that. And I don't think you need to, just like being efficient with it. It's just like optimizing what you have, and I never really paid attention to that before, but I had some of my friends who were doing that, is calling to negotiate like plans for phone plans, internet plans, cable TV, things like that. And I started doing that. So what we do now is every 2 years for our internet. So we cut cable this year because we realized that I was actually only watching. So Karen was keeping a full like $100-something a month plan just for one like series that she was watching on live TV, and I was keeping it for hockey. I could just stream my hockey games, by like a membership of the NHL Network for nothing, for a lot less, and I don't need TV. Like the kids have Netflix, we have like iTunes and things like that, but we don't need to pay like $100 a month for a freaking cable TV thing. So we did that. And what I do is now every 2 years, I have a reminder in my calendar where I call to negotiate my contract for cable TV, not cable TV, internet. Yeah. So I look, first of all, I look at the competition. Here it's like 2 providers, like locally. So it's not a whole lot, but I look at the competition and I'm like, I look at what they can offer. And then I call and I ask for like the retention department. So right there, they have tools that most salespeople don't have. And when you do that, so like, listen, I've been a long time customer. I'm willing to commit for, longer term. What type of deals do you have? Like if I stay committed, and they're going to have tools, they're going to have something every year. There's something new or new feature or something like, and that keeps my bill in check. Because sometimes you're going to have like a deal, for example, for the first 2 years, and then you're going to go in full billing. Right. And you don't realize that sometimes, where you have your first, like, let's say $100 a month for the first 2 years, and then it goes up to like $180 a month. And I just renew my commitment every 2 years, and I just keep getting the same type of deal. So over time, it's thousands and thousands. And I hadn't done that with my cell phone bill for a long time. And I did that this year. I went and I negotiated, and I actually ended up moving service provider, but I negotiated hard with all of them. It took me like a couple hours, and I just like, yeah, well, this guy says this. And I had pretty much both at the same time. Right. And I was able to get my bill down to like, I would take down 40% because of all the retention that they have. But dude, when you look at it, on over a year. I think it's like, I don't know, it was like $900 or something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I had a business mentor before, like one of our original coaches, who was always saying, like, you got to value your time. You got to value your time. But at the same time, those 2 hours spent for you to save $900, like that's significant. So that actually is time well spent in my eyes. And so, I mean, another hack, like a hack that I have more on what you're doing, and this kind of circles back to what we were talking about, relationships and stuff like that, is, so that I travel from Toronto to Costa Rica all the time. Like my family travels all the time. And so when the six of us travel, if AJ's not with us, our oldest daughter, I mean, it can end up being pretty expensive in terms of flights. So one of the things that I do is I call the airline directly and I wait on there to actually speak to somebody, because I make sure that I talk to somebody, I address them by their name, I ask them, I know, like if I call Air Canada, for example, I know that their call center is Montreal. So I'll say, hey, Stacy, how's the weather in Montreal these days? Are you guys still experiencing, so I will engage with them and everything. And then they'll look and search for things for me. And then when it comes time to close the deal and everything, they're about to take my credit card number. I'll always say, you know what, like I'm traveling with 6 people. Is that the best price that you can get me? And I can tell you that I would say about 95% of the time, they give me a better price than what's normally listed if I were to just go online and book it with my credit card. And I think a lot of this has to do with just being able to talk to people and not being afraid of interacting with people in that sense and asking.
I love negotiating now. I used to hate it, and now I love it.
Yeah.
I realize that you actually, like, they have tools for that. We deal with, so that's, who did we deal with? That was ClickUp. I think it was ClickUp. I'm not sure they still do that. But when we got with ClickUp a couple of years ago now, we had an option to negotiate the price per user. So it was like, is the price, or businesses negotiate a price with us. So it's like, when I wanted to get the team, I went and I negotiated with the guys. Like, okay, what's the lowest we can do? So the guy's like, oh, we can do, like, I don't know. He says like $6 per user or $6.20 per user, and they were like, oh, well, I was more budgeting towards like $4 a user. They're like, yeah, it's a bit low, but maybe we can do that. It's like, okay, well, maybe you want to split in half and do like $5 a user. It's like, okay, we'll do that. I was like, you know what? Like it was like they wanted that, right? They asked to negotiate. Up to this day, I love customers actually negotiating with me on some things.
Yeah,
I had a customer negotiate a wholesale pricing on Karen's journal last week, and I loved it. I loved it because I understand where she's coming from. It's like, you know what? Like, let's make it work. If this is like that was for us, like the opportunity to get a reseller. I was like, what? Let's make the price work for you, and obviously, like we both won, and that was great. I love that.
I think again that comes in. I mean, we're circling back to like different principles about marketing and about relationships, but that leaves the customer feeling good, and the likelihood of them doing business with you again goes up because they had such a good experience.
It's all about the experience, man. I switched provider, like from Bell to TELUS this year, because like when I tried to negotiate with Bell, it was like, no, that's what it is. And they didn't even care. I was like, listen, like I've been with you guys for 20 years.
Yeah.
It was like, and honestly, like I don't mind staying, but these guys offer me like less money for the exact same service. And you can't even match that. Or I was like, and I told him, it's like, if you come close to that, I'm probably going to stay with you. And he's like, no, that's what it is. I was like, all right, that's good, man.
All right.
We're going to switch.
Easy decision. Yeah. You made my decision easy.
Man.
Yeah.
He was a rock star. He was working from home too. His kid was crying in the back. So we connected that way. Yeah. I was like, I understand. That's fine. And he's like, he's like, okay, well, I'm going to do a transfer. I'm calling you back. It was very casual. It was perfect. I loved it. I can't remember the guy's name. It was the Indian guy, and A1 customer support, man. It was just awesome. And the experience, I'm like, dude, happy customer. I'm staying.
Yeah.
There you go. And it was painless, right? So I know there were lessons there for sure. But those are little tricks, hacks, that you can do. It takes, I think as long as you're proactive and you make it some kind of process routine to just go over these things, it's not going to be huge at first, but it compounds over time. And then you look over 10 years and you're like, oh, smokes. Like I actually saved 30, 40 grand. Well, guess what? This $40,000 is probably better, invested somewhere, right, generating interest versus, having spent somewhere that you don't need. Right. So I think it's not about being frugal, but it's about being efficient and understand, what's the desire. It's always like that. What's the desired outcome and how can I spend the least amount of probably cash, and time as well on it.
Yeah. I mean, I think time is the important thing, but you have to, again, it's like looking at the big picture and making sure that you're spending your time wisely. But I think anytime that you can negotiate several hundreds of dollars down to something that's a little bit more better, like that's more efficient for you or better for you, that's time well spent. Like I don't mind spending that time, with an airline talking about that or getting that done.
But think about it, even $20 a month, Chris, like $20 a month over a year, $240. Yeah. If you're committed for 2 years on something, that's $480, right? Like it's $500 just say like based on like 1 hour of your time, basically it's $500 an hour. You just like made, you know what I mean? So this is a good way to see it, I love it. We might we're going to keep you updated if we have new efficient savings tactics in the future. But, I just an exercise that I love doing and I think everybody should do it. And if you haven't done it already, you're probably going to realize that you are wasting so much money and living with things or filled with things that you probably don't need, honestly. Right. But don't compromise on what makes you happy, though.
No, of course not. Like, and the thing to remember is that it's not being cheap either. This is this is financial efficiency. You're in the long run, it's going to pay off. It's going to be better for you in the long run. So don't be afraid to ask.
No, exactly. But my point is that, like, if you love sports car, get yourself a sport. That's fine as long as you love it. As long as it's aligned. Like the problem is like sometimes it's just because and it's just it doesn't work, man. Love it, Chris. Have a great week, brother man.
You too, my man.
Talk to you next week. Have a great week, everybody. Stay efficient. Do the exercise. I'd like to hear, send us an email. What are the things that you uncovered in your financial efficiency exercise? And if you want to do the 100 things challenge, actually, you should ask Chris about it. But I love that. I love the 100 things challenge. All right, my friend. Have a great week. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, my man.
You have just listened to the Done by Noon podcast. If you are interested in hearing more, do not hesitate to subscribe to our channel. Click on the 5 stars or check out our free tools and trainings at donebynoonpodcast.com. Thanks again for listening and stay awesome. We'll see you next time.